love about our story is that it was completely unexpected and unplanned, and that both of us tentatively tried to run away at the beginning. But when we stopped running and realized that this was happening, and when I got off my clinical horse and realized that God doesn't work within the confines of psychology and counseling, and obeyed, I was able to see the treasure that was sitting in front of me.
Isaiah 54 for me just is the beginning point to a place where I found me and the 4 kids just really broken and lost and traveling out of abandonment and rejection. This verse gave me great hope for the future.
Isaiah 54, 11 through 13. Afflicted city, lashed by storms and not comforted, I will rebuild you with stones of turquoise, your foundations with lapis lazuli. I will make battlements of rubies, your gates of sparkling jewels, and all your walls of precious stones. All your children will be taught by the Lord, and great will be their peace.
Shortly after being left, that I prayed out to God, just kind of asking him, like, what do you have next for me and the 4 kids? And finding myself as a newly single mom, I was terrified of what was coming ahead of me. This verse in Isaiah 54 talks about, even after storms have lashed out, I will rebuild you with stones of turquoise, and not just simple drywall, but I will choose the most precious stones to rebuild your life. And I believe that that's what he has done with my life and the kids' life, and joining Andy to our life together.
And so it was humbling and exciting for me to be able to be one of those treasures in their lives. And also, when I proposed to Amy, I had to just share with her how much that she was a treasure in mine, and how much her family and all 4 of the kids were a treasure in my life. Yeah, and I think for me, the verses were symbolic of my family experience and understanding fully what being battered over time is like, and feeling abandoned and rejected, and being in a scenario that the kids are experiencing right now and working themselves out of at this point. So moving forward, this is just a prayer that we have for us as individuals and for our family, that we would continue to obey and to trust that God is capable and willing to do crazy and wonderful things all the time if we allow him to.
I prayed a simple prayer of just asking God for confirmation of, God, do you have restoration for me? And do you have new love for me? And felt kind of embarrassed by my prayer asking for that confirmation. The next day after my prayer, I was driving in to our new house that the kids and I were going to live in, and above the new house was a rainbow. And so that has kind of been a sign and a way of God communicating with me, his confirmation.
And so that's what we want people to know about our story, is that it's coming out in a wedding and you're hearing it on this video, but it's really God's story of what he does in people's lives. And that it's not about us, and it's not about the crazy circumstances that have put us together, but more so, it's a model and a picture for what God seeks to do with his people. We're just glad to be a part of that, and we're glad that we've had the strength to obey him and get to this point. And so we just pray that all who hear our story and all that we get to share it with aren't really shocked and awed by the circumstances of our story, but more of the restoration and the goodness of God, and that they can look at us as living proof that he does fulfill his promises, and he does some pretty crazy and wonderful things. And for Amy, she's just allowed the Lord to take the screen off of her eyes and to see the treasures that he is building in her life as well.
So God really has laid out a foundation for me of showing me that he is the one thing that remains even when everything else around you falls apart.
And that he has fully started to build walls and houses of gems and rubies in our lives, and we just believe fully that he's going to continue to do that.
Isaiah 45:3. I will give you hidden treasures, riches stored in secret places, so that you know that I am the Lord, the God of Israel.